What's going on? What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of What the Game Means to Me. Of course, I'm one half of the pod, Jelani Brown. Got my co-host again with me today, Daddy as well. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. First episode of the new year. Glad to get to it. Hopefully, we have a great episode and last NFL Sunday of the week. So, we got a lot to talk about.
Exactly. Like I said, we always do. We always hit into college first. Of course, national championship will be tomorrow. Another rematch, Alabama versus Georgia. So we'll definitely hit on that. And we do our something or nothing topics. We got some pretty hefty topics today. Surrounding AB, a few in the NBA, Kyrie and Russ, and then also hits home for me, Calvin Ridley. And then of course we'll talk Week 18 in the NFL. Go over just power rankings, see what teams need to do what in order to get to the playoffs. Last week of the pick 'em, so we'll see how we fare next week. But before we get into all of that, I'll drop the tape.
Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! We win!
Don't you open your mouth about the best. Or I'm going to shut it for you real quick. LOB.
Listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Lewis gets it to LeBron for three for the win. Yes! LeBron James at the buzzer.
Pass is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
What was your mindset when you stepped in the batter's box?
Go yard. I mean, I'm a pitcher. Why not swing as hard as I can? I got nothing to lose.
It's nothing to man above. Don't put you in situations that you can't handle. Instead of saying, why me? They're saying this is what he want me to do. And, Cleveland! This is for you!
The way we approach the game is the same way we approach life. You do the right thing. You make the right play. Make the right play. And in life, it's the same thing. What do you feel in your heart is the right thing to do? And you do that. It seems so simple, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest things to do. And I think it's just that.
Welcome to
What?
The game.
Me.
To me.
All right. And we're back. So like I said, definitely get into first little segment. We'll talk about college football national championships tomorrow, of course, against another SEC battle, Georgia versus Alabama. So we talked a little bit. Last week I'll talk about it, I guess, when Georgia comes up. But I definitely owe Stetson Bennett an apology. He's been showing a lot more than what I think both of you and I expect them to do, and played very, very well last week in order to get his squad into the championship. But just the preview, I guess, Georgia versus Alabama. What's your first initial thoughts about this matchup? I know the quarterbacks will be focused on heavy, but the defensive side of the ball will as well. So what do you think about this one, Thad?
I think it's going to be a heavyweight between the two best teams all year, in my opinion. Georgia's been the clear-cut number one until their one slip-up versus Bama. So just looking at two heavyweights going at it, a rematch. This is their fourth time playing in a meaningful, game, SEC championship or college football championship. So just looking forward to the matchup between the two heavyweights and, of course, the quarterbacks. What adjustments are the teams going to make from the first matchup to the second one, and who's going to make the fewest mistakes? I know we'll get into a little bit more, but that's what I'm just looking forward to going into the game.
Of course. And then, like I said, Bryce Young, obviously, Heisman Trophy winner. Stetson Bennett said definitely, shout out to him, walk on, earned his spot, obviously, through unfortunate injuries, through, a few players, JT Daniels, of course, who you think, and I've thought, eventually would come back and get the starting job and would give the Bulldogs the best chance to possibly win the national championship. But Stetson's, he's proved his worth. He's proved why they got him in the position that they have him in, and he's been balling out with the opportunity that he's gotten. But like I said, focus on the defensive side of the ball. And I also kind of want to ask you about some of the prospects too that we think may go into the draft or whatever the case may be. But on the defensive side of the ball, I guess what do you feel like Georgia needs to do in order to stop Alabama's offense? The first time around, they looked a little, like I said, they're probably the best offense they faced all year, but they did look a little bit rattled. I think had 0 sacks on Bryce Young and didn't get the pressure much either. So what's the keys this time around to try to stop Bryce Young in that offense?
For one, the first thing, in my opinion, is just to contain Bryce Young. Like you said, they didn't sack him last game, but he's one of those guys. His pocket presence is way beyond his years. He has a great feel for the pocket. He's very slippery. Like, he's a quick, guy, so it's not easy to get him down. But in my opinion, Georgia played great defense all year, but versus Bama, they struggled to keep everything in front of them. They got beat on a couple bombs. They busted a couple coverages in bad moments, especially like the long TD pass to Jamison Williams. In my opinion, you just gotta keep everything in front of you. Get off the field on third down, as we all know, and I think you gotta just do everything you can to make their number 2 and number 3 receivers beat you. Take Jamison Williams out the picture. I know they had a second half without Mechie when they played in the SEC championship, but go look at the tape, make the adjustments, and do whatever you have to do to completely take him out the game. I know that, Bama ran all over Cincy, but this is not Cincy. Georgia's run D is unreal, as we saw versus Michigan. So, you stack the box, or you double team Williams to do everything you have to do to make Robinson and Bryce Young beat you on the defensive end, obviously. I just think, for Georgia, what they need to do as well this time, they were, the first half wasn't bad, but in the second half when they got down, they completely abandoned the run game and put, the pressure all on Stetson Bennett to beat him through the air. And that's not something he's going to do. I'm not saying he's not capable of it, but that's not a strong suit. Georgia didn't win. They didn't get here by, leaning on Stetson, throwing the ball 40 times a game and stuff like that. So, stick true to your game plan. Don't, when it gets tough and, you get down and everybody's looking to, scramble to find a solution to get back in the game, just stick to your game plan and stick to what's got you here and what you've done all year, in my opinion.
Yeah, same here. Like you said, he did have 3 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions, pretty costly
1 pick
interceptions
six
as well. Yep, that's what I was going to say. One of them was a pick 6. Like you said, I guess with them, like you said, it's kind of keeping their head. Like, you can't get it all back in one play. We've all heard that, growing up, coaches when we've been down in certain games, but just can't get it all back in one play. It can't be one big shot. And like you said, he's able to to extend plays and make plays, and he's shown a good arm presence. It makes some really tough throws, especially last week against Michigan. But like you said, their run game is what they pride themselves on, and that's what has been their bread and butter all year. So you definitely can't abandon it in the second half. What's going on, Kenneth? Always dropping always dropping some gems with the betting. Like I said, he's definitely our betting guru on the network and has helped a lot of guys get a lot of money. I'm definitely gonna lock in with some of the picks that's on his OTBN Substack read of the day. So everybody go to Off the Ball Network or go to offtheball.substack and definitely read that if you want to reach the money. But shout out to Kenneth. Georgia's a W locked in on the money. So if you want, like I said, go ahead, lock that in right now before tomorrow before everything shifts. But I think we should talk about I guess predictions. And I don't think either one or you or I have said who we think is going to win this one. Obviously for me, I'm an SEC guy. My team's in the SEC, so I really could care less. I don't want either one of them to win. But I think I have more of a vengeance against Georgia than Alabama. Even though Alabama has been in our way for a lot of years, Georgia is just one of those teams I just can't get behind. How both of us are from here. Georgia fans, Athens fans are just crazy and delusional at times. So I think I would want Alabama to win, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Georgia team win, just because I guess the feel good feeling of Georgia. We won the MLB. We won the World Series. Might as well bring us home another title. With the Georgia team. But who do you think is going to win this one? What's your score prediction?
Before I give my score, I do want to say, when you were talking about Stetson Bennett, kudos to him for last week. I said that if he started the whole game, Georgia would lose, and he did everything he had to do. Not like he was spectacular, but he made the timely throws he needed to make, including some big-time throws, on third downs and the one to James Cook. So he proved me wrong in a way. I still don't know if I don't completely trust him, but I'm going with Georgia this time. The 4th time's the charm. I guess I can say that, not the 3rd time, but 4th time's the charm. If they don't do it now, I don't think they'll ever beat them. They've had ample opportunities. The first matchup, they had it in the bag, and Tua just, killed their dreams. But I think that Georgia playing them in the SEC championship and then being able to play them about a month and a half later, they have a great staff, a great defensive staff, and I think they'll be able to make the necessary adjustments to, come up with a game plan to figure it out. I think on both sides of the ball, they'll just, make adjustments and come up with some type of game plan in the areas that they lack in the previous matchup. And I just have a feeling that it's going to happen. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Bama wins again. Obviously, nobody really would. But I just think this is the time that Georgia gets them. With Mechie being out, they have a full game without him. And Georgia has the defensive personnel to, take away Jamison Williams. Not one person, but a couple people. In their front, with Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, and et cetera, I think they'll get after Bryce Young. It won't – it's not even all about sacking him. It's just about getting him out of his groove. Hitting him a couple of times, getting him out the pocket early, making him have happy feet and leave the pocket early. Just a bunch of things that will add up to a Georgia victory, I think. And I think they'll play inspired football because even though, Bama was the best offense they saw all year, I think they took that personally. They put up the amount of points they put up on them and the way they did it at will, like how easy it was. I think Georgia will take that personal, and I think their defense will come out to play inspired. And on the offensive side of the ball, I'd love to see JT Daniels get in, but if Stetson Bennett's the guy the entire game, he's just going to have to make a couple big throws. That's all game managers have to do. Don't turn over the ball, manage the clock, get into the right checks, maybe whether it's the run or pass, and just make a couple big-time throws, to keep the drive moving on the 3rd and long, or just make a couple plays. Don't do nothing crazy trying to, get outside of the offense to make
it take a lot of risks sometimes. Yeah, like when it's unnecessary. Like there was a few times, last week when they played Michigan, tried to push the ball downfield, and if it would have been an interception, who knows how the momentum would have shifted into Michigan's favor. But luckily some of them were dropped or out of reach for the Michigan defenders. But yeah, like you're saying, he definitely just has to know when to take his shots and when not to. Like you said,
just do your job. That's really it. And if he does, I think Georgia will. I want to say it's going to be a really low scoring game, but I don't know. It might be a low scoring first half and then second half they take off. But I'm going to go. I'm going to go 27-24 Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I would hate. I don't want to see Georgia win, but at the same time, might as well. I think, like I said, if they don't do it now, it's really hard to see when they'll ever be able to do it. Because I think this year they've matched up, as if not matched up, like have better personnel than Alabama at this point. I think this is the best Georgia football team I've seen. Given in the last few years, even given them being in the national championship in the last few years. But they got to do it this year. If not, it's sayonara, I guess, for any type of chances of winning the national championship, especially against Bama. But I'm gonna go. I think it's gonna be a little bit high scoring as well. I don't know. I think both teams just come out firing, and it's gonna be a lot of nerves maybe on the defense, but also on the opposite side. But I think they're just gonna come out firing. It's gonna be a good one. And even SEC championship game is 41-24. So I think it can be a high scoring game. I'm gonna say 34-31 Georgia. Pull it out by a field goal, like you said, and a 3-point win. But I think it could get in the 30s pretty quickly. But hopefully they get it done. If not, I don't think either one of us care too much. We gotta look forward to next season to see if our teams can do anything to possibly be one of these two teams last season.
I mean, and one other thing I do want to add, the Braves got over the hump and won a championship this year. So maybe this is, even though it's 2022, but the season started in 2021. I think that maybe this is just Georgia's time. And I like to see them win. I'll definitely take a trip down to Athens if they win. So you know how Athens gets. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully they can, get right, because they've had that the way they lost the first time. That would, if I was a Georgia fan, that would still get at me. So hopefully they're able to get over the hump.
Exactly. Yeah. And maybe this will be the year of redemption for the state of Georgia as a whole. So maybe they do get over the hump. And like you said, I mean, World Series celebration was pretty fun. So Athens probably gonna be like 100 times more than that. It's gonna be crazy. So yeah, I definitely would take a trip down there as well. But hopefully they get it done. They gotta get it done tomorrow first. But moving on, we're gonna talk about our something or nothing topics for the day. So, good bit of them. Of course, we starting off, heavy and strong with the man that's been in the news all week. AB, of course, Sunday, took off his equipment, threw a shirt in the crowd, mid third quarter, and took off. And then it was later seen, I guess, in New York in a cab. So or obviously he was in New York because the game was in New York, but in New York in a cab, I guess headed to the city. But AB's been in the news all week. I think he's been on a few podcasts as well, talking about his friendship with Tom Brady, saying he needs him, he's only friends with him because of football, saying that he shouldn't have been in the position he was in, trying to fight for, I guess not guarantee money, but, bonus money that he had to get, by surpassing certain stats. But, a lot of people, have been coming at him with some anger. Some people have been on his side because they feel like Bruce Arians was lying about the situation because, of course, he was saying he was hurt. They tried to force him to play, and he didn't want that. And then others, of course, have been talking about his mental health, whether it's good or in a bad way. But, all in all, something or nothing. What do you think about this AB situation, Dad?
It's definitely something. The signs are there that he needs a little help outside the field. I think overall it's just a big situation and a bad situation. I don't think in my opinion, I don't think he'll get another shot in the NFL because of this. And it was just a big blow up, like him. What he did on the field is unacceptable. It's not the way to go about it. Even if they threw you out there, tried to throw you out there when you were hurt or they were playing with your money, I understand the playing with your money part, but it's just a better way to go about it. And him going on podcasts after and kind of bashing TB12 in a way, when he let you in his house, he gave you opportunity. He's the only reason why you had another shot. Or maybe you would have had to sit out a couple years or whatever. But to go after the person that gave you an opportunity, just kind of spit in his face, just kind of shows who the person he is, And the comment he made about real quick when he was like, he's only his friend because of his ability. In all honesty, I hate to say it, it's not like this for all NFL players, but most people are only AB's friend because of what he can do, because he's just, in my opinion, not a good person. He's shown it time and time again. But just overall, the situation is bad. Hopefully we see him again, but I don't think we do. And it was just him going on podcasts and just talking made it worse for him because he just saying whatever. So it's definitely something.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, but it's definitely something. I think. I mean, well, he released messages between him and Bruce Arians and everything. I seen. I don't know if it was. I think it was a notification, basically. Odds of which teams would pick up AB before the playoffs start. Like you said, I don't even know if he gets another shot in the NFL at all. But like you say, going around on podcasts and speaking down on TB12, that's the golden boy of the NFL. You already pretty much you signed your death certificate with that one. If you would have just released those messages and it wasn't down low and didn't say nothing, obviously you already made a big ordeal about it during the game. Like that's already something in itself. Like you can't just leave mid game, take your shirt off and make a scene and that be posted on national television the entire week and then think you're about to have a chance. But maybe with a little bit of that backstory, with him being injured because like Bruce Arians didn't talk about that part, I guess, in the press conference. But maybe if you'd have released those messages or just say his side about him being injured and they want to force him to play, maybe he had the slimmest of shots, maybe like a 0.111% chance of getting signed. But yeah, after seeing courtside, I think it's on versus or the Nets at the Nets game.
Yeah,
obviously going around with podcasts talking about TB12, you ain't do yourself no favors, my boy, and it's gonna suck because everybody said his trajectory, he was really Hall of Fame bound, and then Burfict took his head off and he ain't been right since. So it's definitely a sad situation to see, and everybody thought when he did get, I guess TB12 did take him in, gave him a place to stay for a little bit, got him on the Bucks and got him right. Even last year, it seemed like everything was back under control, like things were, were cool. He was going to be, I guess, continue his legacy in a sense. But things just hit quick, like hit fast. Like this year he's had so many problems, with the fake vaccine stuff. They said, obviously was away from the team, then brought him back when they had so many injuries. Bring him back. Was he back like 2 weeks?
Yeah, his first game back was Carolina, and he had 15 targets. Yeah. It's just a way for him to go about the stuff, and then for after everything that happened, him to act like he's treated like I guess he's a celebrity in a way, but like he's treating it like, look at me, hopping on podcasts, being courtside at the Nets game. Like, I'd be embarrassed if that was me. And, he already did the thing with the fake vaccination card. So, just not good for AB.
At all. Like I said, just a sad situation to see. Hopefully, everybody was saying, hopefully, I don't know, he gets some help some way, somehow. But I think this might be the end of AB. We've seen him in the NFL. I just don't see another the picture that I got up. Like, that's the main reason. Like, obviously the podcast and everything else that he's done this year and after this incident is bad enough. But it's like, this was almost like, I don't know, I can compare it to, how like sometimes like high speed chase, and then like they got helicopters like that's just looking in on cars and following and stuff. That's how I felt when I watched the game. Like, I felt like the game was still going on, but they had the camera on AB doing what he was doing. Like, it was wild.
There was a picture on Twitter when he was doing the jumping jacks in the end zone. The Bucks were walking to the huddle. Like, it was bad. It was kind of funny to me, but it's not good at all.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like he just. That's the main reason. I'm just thinking like it's over with for him. But I don't know. Sometimes NFL surprises you. Some teams may get desperate that sees that their window's right there. They just need some guy to get them over the hump, possibly. Obviously, maybe injuries, and they may sign him. I don't know. But if you did have odds before we move on to the next thing, if you did have odds on somebody signing, who you think would?
I can't. All right, I can answer it, but I can't answer it in your exact question. I don't know. I have no idea who would pick him up, but I was just going to say that I could see a team picking him up only for a playoff run, like keeping him in the locker room for 3-4 weeks. That's it. And then cut him after give him $100,000 or $250,000 to play potentially 1 to 4 games, something like that. But other than that, I don't know. I can't even think of a team that will put up with that, because if he can't survive with Brady and Bruce Arians, who's one of the most coach-friendly, player-friendly coaches they have out there. Who are you gonna? If you go to Seattle, he's gonna run over Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's like, he's a player's coach, but he's kind of a nice guy. So AB will push him over. Andy Reid, I understand, but if he's complaining about targets in Tampa Bay, you're not getting the ball over Kelsey and Tariq. So I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
And if you go to Seattle,
I don't know why.
If he goes to Seattle and he's complaining about not getting targets, he might get beat up by DK. So you don't know. But yeah,
it could probably get ugly over there. I was gonna say the only team I can think of for some reason would be KC, just because we've seen kind of like that situation with them before, and even this year they signed Josh Gordon. Obviously his situation is a little bit different than AB's. But it's still in a way his type of situation that he's dealt with in his entire career. So that was the only team I could think of. And like you said, he's not getting targets over those two anyway. So, like I said, sayonara, it just seems like this is the end of the road, unfortunately. But moving on next, we're going to hit on another wide receiver, news for different reasons. Obviously, more low-key news, but news nonetheless. Calvin Ridley, I think he only suited up for his 4 or 5 games this year. But earlier in the year, cited that he was stepping away from football to focus on his mental health issues. I didn't know he had a few deaths in the family, and it just felt like it wasn't the right time to be, playing football. But we heard news I think yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, that he wants out of Atlanta. It may be a mutual thing that we see on the horizon, which is unfortunate for me and the Atlanta fan base. But it is what it is. But something or nothing, Calvin really wanting out. What do you think?
Definitely something. Going into the season, I had high hopes for him. I actually put him on my all-pro list. I think he was second team. But, the combination of him and Kyle Pitts could have been deadly, and, it ended in a bad way. Played a couple of games, didn't even have the same production. But for him to, step away, everybody think, okay, you're going to get your mind right. You come back next year or towards the end of the season for a playoff push. But then word comes out that he wants out. It's just not a good look. You just lost Julio, even though he was not the same Julio. You got the most of, you got everything you could have got out of Julio in Atlanta. So that's fine. But the potential he has, and for him to want out, it's just not good. The Falcons had an okay season for where some people thought they were headed, and, they were looking to build on that this upcoming year. But for one of your top 3 players on your team to be wanting to, leave and have a fresh start, it's just not a good feeling as a fan. Like, the Jalen Ramsey situation was different, but like it felt bad when one of your better players doesn't want to be a part of your organization anymore. So it's definitely something, and hopefully, I mean, y'all will get something back for him. But I'm all for having a player over draft picks because you never know what you're going to get out of draft picks. Like y'all probably get a first out of somebody for sure, but will they be Calvin Ridley? Will they be the player he is? So it's definitely something. And Atlanta's losing out.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. Like, in the beginning of the season, after we drafted Kyle Pitts, probably for a week or two, had high. I mean, before that, we had heard rumblings that we may trade Julio, but it seemed like it would be maybe a little bit unlikely for a little bit of time after the draft. But, came in, it's like, oh, we got Calvin, we got Julio, we got Kyle Pitts. It's offense about to be crazy. Probably one of at least top 5, passing officers in the league this year. And then it went from obviously Julio getting traded, and then first few games of the season, and it's crazy. Like I could see it. Like in the few games that Calvin really did play, like the frustration. A lot of people are saying is he don't really want to play with Matt. Obviously because Julio was saying he wanted a quarterback with a little bit of a stronger arm. Some people think he doesn't want to play with Matt, and I could see like the frustration in him. Like first few games, like I think obviously new play caller, new head coach, new probably schemes and cadences and just wording of of the plays. Like everybody seemed kind of frustrated. Like I would always see him just like kind of throwing his hands up as if he doesn't hear what Matt's saying or he doesn't know what the play was. And then sometimes he wasn't giving full out effort on the routes. I think a few times Matt tried to throw it to him and he could have tried to avoid the interception or could have made a better effort to try to catch the ball and he just wasn't doing it. You can kind of just see like his body language was terrible at the beginning of this year and just he just wasn't the same. And obviously when he said that he was cited for mental health issues and sitting out because obviously I definitely family, like it all made sense, which obviously I'm not saying that's not the case what it is. I'm pretty sure that has a big part of it all, but I think a lot of people are saying like it could be he don't really want to play with Matt. He doesn't really want to go through this type of rebuild.
That too. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, because he is he's been in the league. This was his fourth year. This was his third or fourth year. Either way, he's on the higher end. Like he was an older draft pick. I think he was like 23 or something like that when draft him. And he's 27 now. So he probably sees obviously sees the landscape of football as a whole too. Like, certain people's careers aren't lasting as long. He's a little bit older. He doesn't want to go through a rebuild. He probably sees this as his prime years. So it's probably definitely that's a mixture of everything as well, I think. So I think overall it is something because like I said, I feel like some people even was attacking him saying all that mental health stuff was fake, but I wouldn't say that. I think it's just a combination mixture of things. And like I said, we should get something for him. I think some people are saying we should get a first. I don't know. I feel like it's probably gonna be maybe like a second or third, maybe a lower tier player in return. But I feel like you can get a good amount of return because he's in his final year of his contract next year. It's $11 million, which isn't too bad these days for receiver numbers. But sitting out this year and kind of not knowing what you may get could hurt those trade talks. But I don't know. But
I can agree with that. The only thing I do disagree with you on is I think y'all will get it first. I know he's 27, but if you pair him up with another receiver, I'm not even gonna say he can't be a number one completely. Because with him and Kyle Pitts would have been deadly. But if he gets paired up with another mediocre receiver, I'm not even going to say mediocre. I can't. Who could I think of off the top of my head? I don't know, like a Jalen Waddle. If he came to Jacksonville and was on the other side of DJ Chark, you would see him blossom. So I think he's worth a first for sure.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would just, like you said, I would obviously we would want a first, need a first. I think there was an article. I think Philly has a good amount of draft picks this year. I forgot how many. 10 to 15, something like that. I don't remember. But I know they had multiple first round picks, and someone was just like, they should be trading for Calvin Ridley. I mean, they did they're in the playoffs this year. They have, obviously they got Devontae Smith. They put Calvin Ridley on the other side of him. Got other decent receivers, Jalen Reagor and a few others. But I can see that, being a possibility, especially if they got, extra first rounds that they could possibly give up. And like you said, I'm with that too. Like I would want players over a draft pick because you just never know what you're getting out of the draft picks. in the NFL, I think draft picks and first round picks are a little bit more overrated than obviously other sports, especially basketball, being that there's only 2 rounds anyway. But yeah, I would definitely want player over picks. And if there's teams that have extra first rounders like Philly, I can see them making that move, making that jump, and hopefully, like I said, we hit on the pick. We never know, who's going to be available, but I do think we do get a few wide receivers this draft, this upcoming draft. And I don't know if we spend our first on it because we need so much help, especially in the pass rush. We've been needing that for so many years, but there's a lot of talented wide receivers that could possibly go in the first, second round. So hopefully we spend a few, on those first 2 rounds in order to bring one in to, kind of replace him. Because outside Russell Gage is our number 1. He's been our number 1 the entire year. And Russell Gage was the number 3 wide receiver last year. So it's like, we need help in that department for sure. But moving on, we're going to hear a little bit of NBA talk. It was, I think news dropped a few days ago that, Russell could possibly be on the trading block. I think they said they actually tried to trade him like some weeks ago, like a while ago, like a month and a half into the season. But that never happened. He's still a member of the LA Lakers. And, they are playing a little bit better as of late, though. I think they're on a 4 or 5 game winning streak. But, a lot of people have been saying, like, this was the wrong third star to pair with AD and LeBron. Like, they should have went after DeRozan. Like, that was really who they was trying to get. But obviously, he went to the Chicago Bulls, and, they settled on the trade and took Westbrook. But Russell on the trade and brought something or nothing. And do you think he gets traded?
I think it's nothing. I don't think he gets traded. He should get traded. The Lakers want to trade him, but they can't. That contract is awful, and I just don't see any team taking on that contract, especially at this age. He's shown for his whole career he's not going to change his play style. So I don't know why any team would want to inherit that, especially a team with young talent that's trying to build around a star or something like that. So it's nothing. He's not going to get traded. Nobody's taking that contract. So, yeah, it's nothing. But he, obviously we know that it's not a fit, but the Lakers are stuck with it. So, it's nothing.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say nothing as well because I don't even see what type of trade they can send out. People have been saying they trade AD too. They've been saying, like, package the 2. I don't even know. I don't. That's definitely not something I think that is going to happen. It's far-fetched. But a lot of people have been, like, on that train for, kind of ship out both of them because AD's always hurt and been playing kind of soft as of late, or really since they won the championship. And like I said, Russell is just a weird fit, and it's like you're looking and thinking about it, like it seems like it's just a weird fit on any team he's going to be with because, like you said, it's the way he plays. Like the beginning of this year, even into the mid part where he's at OKC by himself, like it worked because dominant ball handler. Did most of the scoring. The turnovers weren't as much of a problem, but now it's just like, and I think he said a few weeks ago, he just said, I can turn over the ball. I can do like this and that. I'm like,
he's not going to change the way he plays.
Yeah, that's stubborn as hell. But it's like, obviously that's hurting the team, in key moments in the game. Like you can't just be like, I can turn the ball over, have 9-10 turnovers a game. Like that's wild. But like you say, he's not changing his play style, and it just seems like he's a weird fit on most of all teams in the NBA this year. I really don't know who could use the services, and like I said, albeit his contract, that's the main thing. Like even if he was on like a team friendly type contract, I don't even see who would really want to trade for him, especially like I said with that type of attitude. Russ, is a good player. He's still one of the top players in the NBA, but it would just be too hard to move off of him. Like I said, they're kind of stuck with him, so they kind of have to. LeBron's been playing like LeBron, like honestly, almost like younger LeBron, like second stint Cavs LeBron at the moment. Like I forgot how many games in a row he scored 30. I think all 4 of these wins that they've had, and even some of the losses. But they're just gonna have to make shift and kind of find his spots, maybe take the ball out of his hands even more. I know they said when they get Kendrick Nunn back, obviously LeBron can handle the ball a little bit as well. And Malik Monk is starting to get into the action. So I think they just say to take the ball out of his hands a little bit more. That would be the best possible case scenario because he obviously has less times to turn the ball over.
It's just hard
opportunity to turn the ball.
It's just hard because Russ always has the ball in his hands. It's not like he's a shooter. Like he'll cut and stuff. He'll move without the ball a little bit, but he's not a shooter. Like he needs the ball in his hands to facilitate. That's the I don't know. It's a tough situation, but they're on a 5-game winning streak right now. So
Yeah, something like that.
maybe we know LeBron's teams, except for the Heat, they were just dominant from the get-go. But when he went back to Cleveland, they'll struggle until around the All-Star break, and then they'll pick it up. So it's nothing new for Bron's team to struggles, and hopefully they just develop chemistry as they get everybody back, and they're ready to go when it's April.
Yeah, we do know some trade is gonna come though. LeBron's not.
Yeah, Bron's gonna chip somebody up out of there.
Yeah, somebody's getting gone. I don't know if it's gonna be Russ, but somebody's out of there. There's gonna be a few bodies that's out of there actually, but we'll see when that time comes, and the weeks are quickly approaching for sure. But next, we had a guy, of course, he stood his ground. He said he wasn't getting that shot. He didn't get that shot. He was going to be a part-time player at the beginning of the season, but the Nets decided, that was the best case scenario for the team. But obviously, with the COVID outbreak, so many players going down, they felt it was best that they could bring him back to be a part-time player. And he played. I don't think he's playing in another game. I think they have a game today, maybe, but playing his first game, I think 2 or 3 days ago, against the Indiana Pacers, who almost spoiled his return, but Brooklyn just kept fighting back, and the big three eventually did what they did and took the win. But something or nothing, Kyrie being back, and being a part-time player, you think this is the best possible scenario for the Brooklyn Nets to be in the NBA Finals or even win the NBA championship? Because obviously I don't think it's going to be possible for him to come back and be a full-time player. Obviously, New York's not changing anything for Kyrie to be playing basketball. So, that would be obviously the biggest stint in all of this. But something or nothing, Kyrie's return. And what do you think about being a part-time player? Do you think it helps their chances or hurts it?
I'm gonna go. This is a tough one. I'm gonna go something. It's kind of hard when you can only play in away games, and then when the playoffs come, it's a 7-game series. Like if you get, I guess for the Nets, it'd be in their best favor for them to be the away team, be the lower seed in all their matchups. But it's definitely something. Kyrie's Kyrie. I question some of his off the field decisions, but on the court, we all know what he can do. He's a really talented dude, and honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody his size that can finish like he can. Like in the game versus the Pacers, I watched a little bit of it. His outside shot wasn't falling, but in the third and fourth quarter, like he got in his bag. And Kyrie and KD and Harden just let him go to work. And he only had 22, but he had a lot of good moments. And without him, I don't think they win that game. I think he's going to be big, but it's just tough only having him for potentially. If you're the higher seed, you're only going to have him for 3 out of the 7. If you're the lower seed, you'll have him for 4 out of the 7. But just how would they be able to keep it together? Like one game you go out there with them, and then the next game you got to have a whole new lineup and a whole new rotation. It's just messes up the flow of stuff, and it's unfortunate. But the way the Nets players are dropping like flies with COVID, they had no choice. But with Kyrie, they'll be dangerous. But it would suck for them to go to the finals and have a game 7 at home and Kyrie can play and they lose. Like it's a bad scenario. But Kyrie being back is definitely something. For the games he plays, the NBA will be on notice because with those 3 on the court at one time, it can get pretty dangerous. Harden is cooled off. Like he doesn't even want to be the man anymore. He's just having fun. He's playing basketball, trying to win games. He's not even trying to drop 40 every night. So I think he honestly enjoys this role in a way. But Kyrie being back is big. Every time he steps on the court, your defense, he applies pressure to your defense. So I think it's definitely something.
Exactly. Yeah. I like you just said, it's kind of hard, and it's something and nothing at the same time. It's something for NBA. It was something for him. Obviously, his dad was in the crowd. I think he gave him his Game 1 jersey after the win. But it's something for him just to be back playing basketball. I don't want to say he acts as if he doesn't need it or want to play. Like if he has to step away, like he doesn't care. Like he's more than a basketball player. Like obviously, we've heard that so many times, and it is a true point in fact. But basketball players love to do what they do. Like, and I'm sure he loved it and missed being away from his team. And obviously, you could see kind of like that joy, when he was playing the other night against the Pacers. So I think it's something for him and NBA fans that he's just back in general because it's a special talent, and in a way, it's kind of like getting robbed of seeing him in his prime in a sense, and playing with two other future Hall of Famers in KD and Harden as well, and just a fun team to watch in general. So it's definitely something for him and the NBA just in general to see him out there, see him playing, and getting to see that special talent on display. But it's also nothing for the same reasons you just said. If more than likely they're not going to be a lower seed, they're going to be probably a top 3 team in the East at worst. And depending on probably Eastern Conference Finals, like it's they're top seed or not, they're more than likely going to have some series where they are the higher seeded team. And like you said, I just don't think it's nothing, because I don't think it's possible to, one, like I said, continue to build that chemistry, continue. Also, like it messes with the lineups a little bit, not as much, because it's Kyrie, and it's like not someone that you have to decide, who you're taking minutes away from in particular. But that's hard to kind of, like I said, build chemistry over time, like being part-time player, because like sometimes they may have who knows, when they have a 6-7 game homestand. Like there's some teams that have that. Like that's going to be 2.5 weeks that he's not playing. Like that's difficult to kind of bring him back in. Like obviously he'll stay in shape and everything, but it's kind of difficult to bring him back in and that chemistry still be there with the team. Obviously maybe not as hard because you got 3, like I said, future Hall of Famers on the team. But all in all, like I said, it's nothing, because like later on in the season, it's definitely going to get tougher. Like you said, they're going to be a higher seed in most playoffs matchups. And then obviously, like you said, who knows who's coming out the West. A lot of people may feel Golden State, a lot of people may feel Phoenix. Who knows? It could be a dark horse team, and you never know where their seeding may end up. Like Brooklyn may be the number 1 overall team in the NBA, and like you said, they only get 3 games of Kyrie at home, and that's going to suck because 4 games on the road without, or my fault, switch it. They'll have 4 games. They'll have 4 games at home with him or without him, and then 3 games on the road with him. So it's definitely nothing for that sense, but something at the same time. Hopefully it works out in the end for Brooklyn and him, but I just don't see it being their best chance of them winning NBA championship with him being a part-time player.
Really quick before you move on, I'm not gonna say this is going to happen because I don't like the Knicks. But what if they get a Nets versus Knicks playoff series? He can't play at all, right?
Yeah, that would exactly. He probably wouldn't be able to play at all. Yeah,
it's a tough situation. New York and who else are the places where you have to be vaccinated to play? Isn't it Golden State?
I wanted to say
Golden State.
Yeah, that's all I was. I wanted to say it was California.
So man, if they get a New York Knicks versus Nets playoff series, it's gonna be rough. Even though they can beat the sorry Knicks without them, but it's just like it's a tough situation. And COVID's not going anywhere. COVID's not going anywhere. So
yeah, and like you said, even if it's a Golden State Nets matchup in the finals, you don't get to play at all. So it's like
that very well could happen. That's why it's a problem. But yeah, man.
Yeah, so definitely
glad to see him back out there though. It's glad to see Kyrie back out there. It's fun watching him play basketball for sure.
Exactly, but we'll definitely see later on in the year how everything pans out. But it's definitely looking, like nothing, in the sense, for a playoff run and an NBA championship run. So, but we're gonna move on. It's week 18, last week of the season. Game's about to come on in about 40 minutes. Of course, we always got to show our guy Jeff some love from Jeff Needs Sports. Always does the power rankings for Off the Ball Network, and this week was the last week of them. A little bit of changes here and there. A few teams moved a few spots, but overall, his top 10, he has Packers, Rams, Chiefs, Bucks, Titans, Bills, Cowboys, Bengals, Cardinals, and the Pats. And I think the only changes really from last week are the Bengals. It seemed like the Bengals moved back and the Bills moved up.
No, the Bengals moved up.
Yeah, Bengals moved up 1 spot. Yeah, my fault. Bengals moved up 1 spot. The Bills moved up 2 spots, and the Rams and Chiefs switched spots. So, and the Cowboys took a little bit of a hit because they did lose against Arizona, so they're in the 7th spot. But overall, what do you think about just power rankings, and is there any teams that you disagree going into the last week that should be higher or lower?
I can't complain. Nothing I can really complain about. Not too much movement, I'm really good with the Jaguars at 32. That's the biggest thing. We got to be in our rightful spot. But the Rams moving up one, I agree with. The Cardinals going up because they didn't shock me, but the way they were playing, I expected Dallas at home to handle them, and they came out and played very, very well. So I really can't complain. I'm just looking forward to the playoffs and what teams are going to do, because it's a lot of new faces in the playoffs this year. So the Bengals, the Pats, the Rams with Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray in the playoffs for the first time. I'm sure to see what goes on.
Yeah, definitely. So I agree with the top 10 as well. We're about to talk about some of the playoff scenarios and predictions that could possibly happen. And the Colts being on the outside looking in of that top 10. One interesting team, like you said, they kind of messed themselves up by losing against the Raiders last week, and kind of they have to win the game. Albeit it's against your Jaguars, they have to win today though in order to be in the playoffs and get some help as well. But I think it's like 7 teams that are still alive for the last 3 spots. Obviously in the NFC, I think the only team that's still in contention is the Saints. And I think that's if they win and the 49ers lose. I think that's the only way they get in.
Which can very well happen if they play the Rams.
Yeah, they play the Rams. So I think, and they would also have to win, of course, against the Falcons today. But, other than that, all the other spots, those last 2 spots are up for grabs between, I think, 6 teams in the AFC, which is going to be a busy, busy day. But, I guess let's hit on it. Let's talk about it. Say NFL Week 18, some of the playoff scenarios. The biggest one that I know, or not know, but would be funny to see, and the craziest one is if the Jags beat the Colts. I think the Raiders and Chargers, they come to like a little agreement to tie that both of those teams could have the last 2 spots in the AFC. So that's one of the crazy ones I've seen and heard. I obviously highly doubt that happens. Like there's probably like not even a 1% chance that happens. But what are some of the playoff scenarios that that you think may possibly be the outcome today?
I want to believe in the Jaguars just to play spoiler. Stu reached out to me this week talking about that they hadn't beat the Jaguars in like 6 years, which is kind of crazy. I'm like, Andrew Luck used to give us the work, so I don't remember us beating them like that. But that scenario happening, I'd rather see the Colts win though, to see that Sunday night game be the deciding factor. Like that's going to be a good matchup. That's about it, because I want to see the 49ers in the playoffs. I do not want to see the Saints with Taysom Hill. With Jameis, I would, but the 49ers, I think they'll be a problem, so I'd like to see them get in. There's not really any other scenarios. I think if the Steelers can get in a crazy way, I think the Colts have to lose, and they have to get some help somehow. I think they lost to the Raiders and the Chargers, so I don't know how that would work. I think they would have to tie, but only scenario I'm looking forward to is the Sunday night game, really. I want the Jags to win, but we already secured the number 1 pick, so it doesn't matter what we do. But I like to see that Sunday night game be the deciding factor, the final spot for the playoffs, with everybody watching.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like with the NFC, I guess a little movement can happen. I didn't even realize because the Cardinals are on a little bit of a slide. But if they win, they can win the NFC West with a win and Rams loss. So that obviously would be huge with matchups because they would be a divisional winner. And I think they would be the 3rd seed, I want to say. Because I think the Bucks and Packers would still obviously be ahead of them. But outside of that, like I said, the one with the Colts and the Raiders and Chargers, we already kind of talked about. The Steelers, like you said, they would have to win. The Colts would have to lose. And the Chargers and Raiders can't end in a tie. So, that, I guess that's a lot that has to happen. But, I mean, Chargers and Raiders not ending in a tie would make sense. But I think they'll know what they would have to do, after the 1 o'clock game, because don't y'all play the Colts at 1 o'clock?
Yeah. Steelers and Colts play at the same time, so they're going to be doing a little bit of scoreboard watching.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the Chargers and Raiders play the 4:25 slot. But those are the main playoff, I guess, scenarios that could possibly happen today. Outside of that, it would be races for different divisions. With I think the AFC, I think that one's still on the line. Bills could clinch with a win, or with the Patriots loss, or the Patriots can clinch with a win and the Bills loss. And then also, of course, race for the number 1 seed as a whole. The Titans, I think, still have a hold on that. Shout out to Walker. We gave him hell this year, but they fought through it. Even the team, they fought through all the hell that they had to persevere through with injuries, which they had a ton of. But if they win, they're number one seed. And I don't know if many people would have. I definitely would have said they would have won the division or had a good chance of winning the division. But I don't think I would have said they were the number one seed in the AFC.
Especially without Derrick Henry.
Yeah, especially without Derrick Henry. And then Chiefs with a loss, Titans loss, and they're number one seed because they took care of business last night against the Denver Broncos. But who the Titans played? Who did the Titans play?
You said the Titans?
Yeah, who they play?
They have to play the Texans because it's all division matchups.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they play the Texans, so I guess.
I mean, I didn't know you were asking about that. I thought you were just talking about the teams that needed to get in for seeding purposes. I mean, I don't really know what I'm kind of looking forward to. I do want the Chiefs to get that bye because I forgot who's a 7th seed, but if they have to play like the Chargers in the first round, that's a tough one. I need the Cowboys. I need the Cowboys to stay. I don't want them playing the Eagles. I want them to get the smoke the first round. I want them to have to play the Cardinals or the 49ers, which I think they'll lose to both. So, I'm looking forward to the Cowboys getting put in the worst possible situation. I'll say that. And the Chiefs, getting that number one seed.
Yeah. If the Rams win, then the Cardinals will be the 5th seed, and it'll be Cardinals at the Cowboys. But, we saw what happened, last week. And, you were right about the Chargers and the Titans win as well. If the Titans lose, then if the Titans lose, they'll be number 2 seed and they'll play the Chargers. But obviously, we're expecting the Titans to win, so the Chiefs will probably have to play the Chargers the first round. And we said that's a divisional matchup. Chargers already got the best of them in one game this year, so it's definitely going to be a tough matchup for them. But never know. I think this year, like you said, it's a lot of first team or like teams that we probably didn't expect, like the Eagles making it. At times this year we didn't know if the 49ers would make it. Obviously, mostly everybody thought the NFC West was the best division in football, or one of the best divisions in football. But at times this year it didn't seem like they were going to be in. And obviously, the Pats kind of up and down with them as well, but looks like they'll be in or they are in. And the Bengals, that's I think number one surprise for pretty much a lot of people. A lot of people say either Sewell or Chase should have been the pick. Chase has shown he definitely has a bright future in the NFL, and obviously the connection with him and Joe Burrow is still continued on from LSU. But that's definitely will be an interesting team to kind of watch throughout the playoffs to see where their ceiling is and who they can go. Like right now, I think they're slotted. If the Colts beat your Jags, I think the Colts would have to play the Bengals and travel to Cincinnati. So it'll be a pretty tough matchup. Yeah, so that's a tough first round matchup when you're first time back in the playoffs in some years. But all in all, I think it's going to be a great playoffs. And I know we'll get into more predictions and games when we know everything's set and final after today or after tonight. So, but we do have to hit on our last pick 'ems of the year. This is what it's looking like. We both went 12-4 last week. You win some games I picked wrong on, and you winning some games that you picked wrong on. But overall, only up by 3. So it is a very possibility that I could have led the whole year, and Thad just sweeps in and takes the lead after this week. So a lot of the games obviously are divisional games, so they should be straightforward. I'm not going to be one of those guys that like, all right, I got the lead, so I'm just going to pick the same teams as Thad picks. But we're going to hop into the pick-ems right now. Like I said, I'm leading right now 154 wins, 88 losses to Thad's 151 wins and 91 losses. But let's head into the game. One of our last games of the day, week 18 pick'ems. And so both of us already picked obviously the games last night. We picked Kansas City. I picked Philly. He picked Dallas. So I'm already down a game. So that is already up a game on me this week. But Cincinnati, Cleveland, who you got there?
Both starting quarterbacks not playing, but Case Keenum is a quality backup, and the Browns are playing most of their starters. The Bengals aren't without all their starters, but I know Burrow and Joe Mixon aren't playing, so I'm going to go Cleveland. That roster is talented. And I know that they said they're going to bring back Baker Mayfield, but, the people that overreact, Case Keenum plays well today, they'll be like, Baker has to go, so I'm going to take Browns. Browns in a close one.
Yeah. Just for that reason. I mean, like, since he's good, but I don't think they're, without, most of their starters good. I think they're good only because of their starters. So backups. I'm taking Cleveland backups over Cincy backups. Probably at least 6 days out of the week. So I'm gonna go with Cleveland as well in this one. They're at home. They don't have too much to play for, but maybe their pride of the year, and maybe for Baker, in a sense, or not Baker. Maybe to play for Baker to get him out of there. But that's the only reason I can see them putting out this win. So I'm gonna go Cleveland as well. Green Bay, Detroit. Who you got?
It don't even matter if Jordan Love plays. I know they got the number 1 seed locked up. I'm interested to see. I remember seeing something about Rodgers saying he wanted to play, but I don't think they have a chemistry problem. Like him and Devontae Adams are like this, and then the other guys, Scantling, Lazard, St. Brown, all those other guys. I think they're locked in. He's been playing with those guys for a while, so I'm gonna go Green Bay no matter what.
Yeah, I want to say Detroit just so they have a feel good.
Not crazy. You're not crazy.
Yeah, but who knows? I mean, I'm gonna go Detroit just to be different. I feel like they can end off the year with a win. Like they've had a few games this year where they should have won. So who's to say they won't end off the year with a win? Hopefully they do. So I'm not wrong and mess myself up even more. But Chicago, Minnesota, who you got?
Andy Dalton's playing. Kirk Cousins' final game of the season. Mike Zimmer's out of there, it looks like. So I think they're going to play inspired for their coach because I'm pretty sure most of the players like him. I'm going to go Minnesota by a couple.
Yeah, same here. I mean, Chicago had a nice little win last week, but it was against the Giants. Minnesota's a little bit more talented, obviously, than Chicago. I think they're a little bit better of a spot. Like you said, they'll probably be fighting for the pride of their coach as well. I don't think he's on the hot seat, but they haven't had a lot of years that have been just like this year. So, and obviously it's one that they're missing the playoffs, but they're at home. I think they want to end off the year and win as well. So I'm gonna go Minnesota. So next we got Washington Giants, 2 NFC least teams. Who you got winning this one?
I'm going with the football team. Any game that Daniel Jones doesn't start for the Giants is an automatic loss. Like I know he turns over the ball, but he's not a scrub. He's better than Jake Fromm and Mike Glennon. I watched him play. So that Washington front, will have a field day, but they'll pressure him into making a lot of bad decisions. So I'm gonna go Washington.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do it for all of them, but yeah, I gotta go Washington too, just because, like what you just said, like the Giants they're really just a shit show, honestly. Like they've had probably one of the more disappointing seasons I've expected because I thought the defense would kind of anchor them, carry them. They seemed a lot more solid than in past years, but like you said, without Danny Dimes and and even their wide receiver core, we thought that was going to be a top wide receiver core too. Like they had some talent over there, but yeah, they just had a horrible season, and Danny Dimes isn't playing like you said. So Washington should pull out this win, and just kind of save their season a little bit as well. Because I think next year Ron Rivera will probably be on the hot seat. If he's not already, he'll be on the hot seat going into next year, based off the year that they had this year. So they got to get a win. Next, we got Indianapolis versus Jacksonville.
Indy, we can move on. I mean, we beat them a couple years, but we're just not playing well, and they're playing for a playoff spot, so we're gonna get their best effort. So Indy.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, it's like it's definitely win or go home for them, so they got to take this one. So I'm gonna go Indy as well. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Who you got?
Big Ben, you my guy, bro. I really, I really did kind of look up to him as a quarterback, growing up and stuff. The way he played, I like the way he played, but he's just not the same. That game was kind of sad watching him play on Monday. I know they got the dub, but you could just tell he's pretty much done. And Tyler Huntley's a capable backup, so Baltimore, they're upset about not making the playoffs, so they're gonna go all out in Week 18. So I got Baltimore by a few.
Yeah, I want to say Pittsburgh just because they're the team in this that has a chance to possibly win or possibly get into the playoffs, albeit it's a very, very, very slim chance. But it's like they have a little bit more to fight for. But like you said, it's also a divisional game, so it's like they got a little bit on the line. But I'm gonna go Pittsburgh just because they have something a little bit more to play for, and hopefully that helps edge them out against a pretty decent Baltimore team. Like you said, Huntley's a pretty good quarterback as well. Has helped them win some games and come close to win games. So hopefully Pittsburgh wins though. Tennessee, Houston, who you got?
It's a tough one for me. Tennessee's playing for that number 1 seed, but Houston hasn't been an easy out. They played a solid game last week versus San Francisco, and they pulled away towards the midway through the second half. But I'm gonna go Tennessee. I think Julio's back off the COVID list. AJ Brown's back, of course, and they got something to play for. But my boy Davis Mills has showed some promise to where they will not. I will go out and say this: they're not going to draft a quarterback this year unless one falls to them that they really love. So, but I have to go Tennessee in this one.
I'm gonna go Tennessee as well. Like I said, I mean, they want to lock up the number 1 seed too. Because if they lose, they're playing next week versus sitting at home. So I'm gonna say Tennessee as well. Atlanta, New Orleans. Who you got?
I really want to pick the Falcons, but for the sake of the show, I'm not a hater, but I can't. I can't give the Falcons too much love on this show. Man, I could really see them winning this, but I'm gonna go New Orleans. They have something to play for. The Falcons would love to play spoiler though for the Saints out of any of the teams in their division. Like how y'all can't stand each other, but I'm gonna go Saints. AK has a big day back at the crib. It seems like he hasn't played back in Atlanta in a while, but I'm gonna take the Saints, even though they're not gonna get I don't know, they could, but I'm gonna take the Saints by 5-4.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Atlanta. Like I said, I mean, we had a as good of a year as you can possibly hope for in the first year without a number 1 receiver, without any talent really on the defensive end. Besides AJ Terrell, he definitely showed his work. But outside of that, I think I mean, an 8 and 9 year, I'd be super ecstatic about. So I think we'll get the win against the Saints. We already got one. Like, if we sweep them this year, I mean, that's honestly like our Super Bowl. So I'm gonna go Atlanta.
Really quick, bro, before you move on, I will say that that's the only credit I'll give the Falcons on this show. I say they were one of the worst teams in playoff contention, but their roster compared to the other teams is just not. Kudos to Arthur Smith for getting the most out of that roster, because what you guys have on offense and defense, what y'all did to just be in the playoff picture, like Matt Ryan said, be playing meaningful football games in November, December. It's kudos to the coaching staff and the players for playing hard. But that's all the support I can give them.
Well, we appreciate that over here. So you said Cleveland. You thought Cleveland would win, right? Or did you say Cincy?
I said Cleveland.
Okay. All right. Bet. I was making sure because I'm over here writing it down. Sometimes I be forgetting. But Jets to Buffalo. Who you got in that one?
I'm gonna keep this quick. Buffalo. Jets have looked better though. Zach Wilson's played a little better. Down the stretch. That's what you look for in rookie quarterbacks. But Buffalo is Buffalo. They're a scary team when they're clicking. I will say that. They could be a Super Bowl team if they're clicking.
Yeah,
and they run the ball. If they decide to run the ball, not with Josh Allen, with using their running backs, and then you have to be balanced. It could be 60-40 pass run, but just keep the defense honest. Don't allow them to have 5 or 6 in the box and you still dropping back to pass. But yeah, Buffalo by 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with them as well because they win, they lock up the AFC East, and like you said, that's a good point. I mean, they did run all over us, and it's us, but I mean, they have to have that in order to be a successful playoff team. I've been preaching that for the past year or two. Y'all have to run the ball at some point. You can't just depend on Josh Allen with his legs and arms the entire playoff run. I mean, they did get to the AFC championship last year with that, but I already knew that was the end of the line for them. They weren't gonna get no further not being able to run the ball, but. Yeah, they got to win today in order to get the AFC East, so I'm going to pick them as well. San Fran and L.A.
I think this is the toughest game of the day besides the last game. Oh, man. Both teams, you don't want any divisional opponents getting in the playoffs. You can keep them out the playoffs, do that. The Rams are playing not really for seeding, but they are at the same time. And Jimmy G looks like he's going to play. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I'm gonna go San Fran because they're one of my dark horse NFC teams. Not saying they're gonna make the Super Bowl, but they'll definitely. I don't think they'll go one and done if they make it in the tournament. In the style of football they play, smash mouth. They can throw the ball a little bit, but they're a physical team. But there's a nice zone run scheme. I'm gonna go San Fran. They need this game. It's tough. Sean McVay's got dominated by San Fran in his career, but they're at home. They'd love to keep him out the playoffs, but something in my gut tells me to go San Fran.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the 49ers.
Yeah. I liked what you said. Like, if you can keep a divisional opponent out, like you do that, and they're at home. So I think I'm gonna go with the Rams. Like I said, this is a tough game though. But I think I'm gonna go with the Rams. I don't think there's any scenario to where they'll play each other in the first round. I don't think. If that was the case, I definitely would go with the Rams. Yeah, but I'm gonna go with the Rams just because of that 1 point, and they're at home, and I feel like they need this, like, to kind of make sure they go into the playoff with some type of, some type of momentum, because they've been kind of up and down too. That mid part of the season, even but they finished out pretty strong. But I think they kind of need this for, just that mentality going into the playoffs. To go in, having beat a division rival and one of the hotter teams in the league. So I'm going with the Rams on this one. New England, Miami. Who you got?
Miami got eliminated, correct? Yeah, they got eliminated last week.
I believe they lost last week, so they got
Last week was their prove-it game. They had their real first test. And Tua didn't look that well. I know it's bad conditions, but you gotta be able to overcome those in the NFL. Him having a weaker arm and I guess smaller hands didn't really help him out in the cold and rainy weather. So that kind of scares me. I know they're in Miami, but yeah, I'm going New England. I don't see Miami sweeping New England. I don't think Bill Belichick has got swept by a divisional opponent ever since he's been in the AFC East. I might be wrong, but I don't think he has, and I don't think it starts this year. So I'm going to go New England by 6.
Yeah. I'm going New England too, just because I'm really going with all teams that have something to kind of play for. Like, if somehow the Jets were able to beat the Bills, then they'll lock up the AFC East, and they'll be higher seed and get a home game. But other than that, they should just be winning for that reason as well. Like, Bill Belichick just doesn't get swept, so I'm going New England. Seattle, Arizona. Who you got?
Potentially the last game of the Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson era. They've had a rough season, very rough season. It could have gone better if Russ didn't get hurt. We all know that, but just overall, they haven't been the Seattle we've seen in previous years. But I want to pick them. I'm going to stick with Arizona. I think they're going to build off the momentum of their game last week going into the playoffs. So I'm going to take Arizona.
Yeah, same here. I think they need it as well, just because you said it last week on the show. Like, last few years, they sputter at the end of the season. Like last year, they were supposed to win the playoffs, didn't make it. This year, the Cowboys win was definitely a pick-me-up. So I think they need another week of that in order to, going into the playoffs to kind of feel good about themselves. Especially, possibly maybe not getting D-Hop back for that first game or whatever. So, they definitely need this win going into the playoffs. But, Seattle, I guess it would be a nice little feel-good start because, I think both of them probably going to be out of there. There's little chance that both Pete and Russ will stay. So I'm going Arizona. Carolina, Tampa, who you got?
Easy. Tampa. Carolina, they're just all over the place. They got a lot of talent, but can't put it together. I'm going to go Tampa.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, same here. I don't know if Tampa – I think they're locked in the 3 seed. I don't think –
I just know they're locked in playoffs for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to go with them regardless. And last, of course, Chargers, Vegas. They both have a lot on the line. Both teams could possibly make the playoffs, or one team more than likely is probably just going to make the playoffs. So which one you got?
I'm going my guy Herbert, man. I can't remember their last matchup. I should have looked at it before. I'm pretty sure it was a really good game though. In California, I'm going with the Chargers, man. I think Herbert, Brandon Staley, they're a good little duo. Even though he's a defensive-minded coach, he believes in his quarterback, which has been shown, by the amount of times they go for it on fourth down. I think he just believes in them overall, and they have the just talent to get it done. I know COVID hit them pretty hard throughout the season, losing Mike Williams and other players, but I'm going to go Chargers. Everything's on the line. Big players going to make big plays. Bosa, Derwin James going to make some plays. Asante Samuel Jr., Kenneth Murray. They're all going to make plays. In the offense, we don't need to talk about their offense. I know they're going to show up. It's just up to the defense. Shout out to the Raiders, though. They've gone through a lot this season, losing their coach, losing their number one receiver. And in the years past, after Thanksgiving, John Gruden teams usually fall off.
Yeah.
And this year was the complete opposite. They kept fighting, played meaningful. When everybody counted them out, because I know I did, especially after the Ruggs thing. Like going into Thanksgiving when they beat the Cowboys before that, everybody's like, the Raiders are done. But Derek Carr has willed the team together, put off some great wins. Not a shocker, but they beat Indy, a hot Indy team, last week on the road to keep their playoff hopes alive. So I want to give a shout out to him as well. And I forgot the interim coach's name. I couldn't think of it at the moment. But he should get at least an interview, for the head coaching job.
Yeah.
Not saying he deserves it, but to keep that team together, keep the roster going and playing hard, kudos to them for that. But I have to take the Chargers by 3. I know it's in Las Vegas, but the Raiders, they have good fan support. The Chargers don't have the best fan support either, but I think the Chargers fans are going to come out, show up, and they're going to get the job done. I hope it's a thriller, though. Solo stage Sunday Night Football. Literally everybody's watching you to decide, who goes to the playoffs. So this is when the big-time players show up, and I think Herbert will have a day.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm just more supportive, like more of a believer in the Chargers than the Raiders. But like you said, definitely got to give a shout out, to the interim head coach and that front office because they dealt with a lot this year. Thinking about it, like they dealt with a lot. Obviously with the Henry Ruggs situation and losing John Gruden, and all that news. Like they were in the news for a good month, like news cycle for a good month. So, like you said, to have kept it all together, not sputter at the end of the year like they typically do after week 8, and be playing the last game of the year and possibly being able to go to the playoffs. That does say a lot about the interim, that team, their heart, and everything else. But I do think the Chargers, I just believe they have more talent. I think they have more chemistry and just more, like I said, more key players that are going to make key and big time plays to pull out a win like this. So I think they'll take the game. Like I said, it's gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be a real shootout for sure. And like you said, Sunday Night Football, and pretty much like if we're expecting what happened to happen, which is Indy taking care of business, it's whoever wins this one is in the playoffs, and that's definitely big for a Sunday night game. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers as well. And with our pick 'ems, we have 4 differences. San Fran game.
I will say this really quick before you finish with that. We could, if you want, I know this is probably loser talk for me, but we could extend it to the playoffs. We could include the playoffs in the pick 'em, but it's all up to you.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. Yeah, we can do that. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
You've been winning the whole season, so I'll let you have the call for that. But us being
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Us both being 60 games over 500 is straight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm about to say that's definitely something to pat our backs about. But I'm game for that. I think it has to be probably different type of rules or circumstances, just because I feel like it's more like it's just more at stake if like one of us picks a losing team that's gonna get kicked out of the plaplayoffs. So we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it happen. But I'm game for that. To continue my dominance to see if I can pull it out into the Super Bowl and the rest of the year. But yeah, I'll go for that. But this one we got 4 differences, I believe. Of course, San Fran Rams game, Saints Atlanta game, Baltimore Pittsburgh game, and Green Bay Detroit game. I don't know what I'm doing with that Detroit pick, but
hey man,
hopefully they pull it out. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm trying to lose, honestly.
No, let's just. I mean, for you, if they pull Aaron Rodgers after like the first, second quarter, let him just get a couple drives. That's your best bet. But Goff's coming back this week, so we'll see.
Yeah. So hopefully they're able to do something. That's all I'm asking for. But yeah, that's our differences for the week, and that is our show for the week. Well, actually, we're gonna do one last thing. Probably gonna start introducing. Of course, if you've watched Family Guy, you've seen this episode before. But just end off the show this week. One of our newer segments. What really grinds my gears. So really, we just going. It's a debriefing segment. Anything that's happened during the week that's kind of made us upset, kind of made us mad, kind of got us thinking a little bit. We're gonna hit on and talk about. So I'll let you, Dad, go first. What really grinds your gears this week?
It's nothing too crazy, but just people complaining about kids getting NIL deals and getting paid, college athletes. You know this as well. You have some friends that came. You play with at Stevenson that played in college and stuff. I'm not saying they're poor, but like most of your 4-star or 5-star guys, not most of them, some of them, come from rough, at home circumstances and stuff like that. They don't have the most money coming to school. Like the only way they can go to college is because of the athletic scholarship. And some of these guys are your best players, so they don't have much already going into it, and then the stipends they get is not enough. So I think as much as they do for the school, the amount of money they bring into the school, especially like schools like Bama. I know you have your boosters, but at Bama, all those championships, you get money for that. The school gets money for winning championships. That's how you're able to build indoor facilities, have the best nutrition places, stuff like that, all that. So for people to complain about the kids that get paid, like I don't understand why people have a problem with that. They're producing for your school. You just want them to show up for your school, and that's it. I think they should be benefited in some type of way. And these coaches get paid millions of dollars. Why the guys that are actually going out? I know coaches are a big part, but the guys that are actually going out there and performing, why shouldn't they get benefited as well? Especially the big time dude. And from experience, like I never said I was broke in college. I went to being here at Charleston Southern. There were some times where I saw teammates that didn't have a lot of money, and then that one stipend you get of like $1,200, that's not enough to last you for 4 months. So I just feel like players should get rewarded, and I don't. Just the people that are complaining about kids getting paid, like you don't know what they're going through, what struggles they have back at home, what they're dealing with financially. So just for people to complain about that and just want them to show up and play on Saturday, I just don't really agree with that.
Yeah,
I think it's mostly the same type of crowd complaining about that, but we just, we don't leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly. So we won't get too deep in there, but 1,000% agree with you on that one. It's sad to kind of see. Like I said, it's always the you're getting a free ride, getting a free scholarship. You're going to school for free, get free education. You get free food, get stuff like that taken care of. But that's almost like it sounds almost like prison. Like like that's honestly the same thing. Like you got your housing taken care of, you got your food taken care of. Like you're in a spot where you're gonna be not safe technically. Obviously, it's a prison, but you're in a spot. You have a roof over your head in a sense. So it's like it really sounds like prison because like I said, it's obviously as humans we need more than obviously $1,200 over a 4-month span, but just a lot more than just like the certain things that these athletes do get. And obviously the world's changing. Like what is the uproar about people earning money? Like people earn money in so many different ways, whether you're in sports or not. It's like why not allow them to use all the hard work and everything that they put into being the person that they are and getting to where they are, as leverage to gain more money and gain more status or just help them in their situation as a whole. So yeah, I don't understand that either. Why people are so down on that, and it's not even their money. It's not even like anything that really has concerning of them. Like it's none of your concern. Honestly, it's not like you're paying them out of your pocket. So it's really stupid. But there's always going to be that crowd that think that has those thoughts and thinks that way. But this week, what really grinded my gears was NBA All-Star voting. I know it's really not going to change. Obviously, they have to get the fans involved, but when you start to look at some of the players that have a certain amount of votes. I mean, I know it's 50% fans and 50% media, coaches and players and stuff like that, but they need to start taking some of the fans percentage down a little bit because you start to look and see who's where, how many votes certain players got, and obviously it's a popularity contest. Like I think Klay Thompson on here, he got the 4th most votes in the West, and obviously he ain't stepped on the court yet. I mean, I like Klay Thompson just as much as the next person, but he shouldn't be 4th in voting in the West. Like that's just not.
Is he above somebody? Is he above somebody like John Morant or something like some crazy?
John
like
Morant's
that?
literally third, and Klay Thompson's right behind him. I mean, it is a significant amount of vote difference, but I mean, regardless, he's still behind him. Like Chris Paul is 6th. Like that should tell you Chris Paul is 6th in voting. Like, and Devin Booker is 5.
They gotta stop this blasphemy, especially Kyrie too. You can finish on, but Kyrie too. I know you're probably gonna speak on that.
I'm trying to see where he is. Kyrie's actually no, that Kyrie actually don't got no votes on here. Oh no, yeah, he's 6th. He's 6th. Yeah, his vote.
Come on, bro. He played one game. Like, what are we doing?
One game.
Let's reward the people that have put in the work.
Yep, exactly. And it's like we know it's a popularity contest. Certain people, just either watch their player or watch their team or just know the big names and just voting just to be voting. But this is just something that got to stop. Either fan percentage got to come down, or you got to not allow or not count like certain players that are getting votes, like Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving. Like those two shouldn't be able to even receive any votes. Like you have to have some type of outline. Like, all right, how many games is it before All-Star break? I think it's like somewhere around like 50. Like if they ain't played at least 15 to 20 games, you can't like they can't be included in the All-Star voting. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think everyone else on this list I can kind of see, or at least have an argument for. There are certain ones that I feel like shouldn't be above others. But I mean, it's just nitpicking like a few spots here and there. But yeah, that's what's grinding my gears this week. NBA All-Star voters, fan voters, y'all gotta do a better job. Like, you can't be putting guys that have not stepped on the court this year to be, in the All-Star game, because, that's obviously taken away from other guys that have, put in the work, actually shown improvement, been playing the games, and it's kind of just like feels like all for nothing, because these guys get, extra money, extra bonuses, and obviously, just recognition when they do make All-Star teams and All-Star games. So, you're just taking away from other guys just because, you want to vote in, somebody that you like in this pop-rated contest, and it shouldn't be like that. So NBA and NBA fans got to get better at that and, just fix this blasphemy, like you said. But that does it for the show this week. I don't think there's anything I missed besides hitting on making sure to go and sponsor or help us with our sponsors, or help yourself as well. But BetUS, betus.com is one of the official sponsors of Off the Ball Network. If you go to their site, use Off the Ball in all caps, Off the Ball. They'll match up to, I think, 125% of your first deposit. So definitely go over there, support them. Like I said, use all caps, Off the Ball, and also go to Off the Ball Network or offtheball.substack and read some of our betting threads. Kenneth does a great job with that. I know Mo and Walker also throw in their bets as well. I know Thad does some betting as well. He's throwing his picks in there too. Also, a few other guys on the network have been pretty active in there, and they've come out a lot of days on the plus side, and some days even with sweeps. I think one day this week they had a 3-0 day, to make you some money. So definitely check out that on the Substack, offtheball.substack, and you can also go to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to search Off the Ball Network, and I'm sure you'll find it there as well. As for us, you know where to find us at Twitter, WTG MTM Podcast, and Instagram and Facebook at What the Game Means to Me as well. But anything else that we should hit on or say before we get out of here today, Thad?
Not really. First episode of the new year. Gonna be coming to you guys all year. First of many. We're gonna have some guests on here, and just look forward to doing a lot of more football content this year. Last year, I kind of joined in the network around towards the end, to like when the draft was about to start, like weeks before the draft. So just looking forward to doing more draft content. I'm gonna come out with some rankings when I start watching some more film of the college prospects, and that's about it, man. Shout out to Off the Ball Network, and shout out to the new show, Draft Capital. I look forward to making a couple appearances on there and doing some of our own stuff on here too. So, just a big year for the network and us as a whole, podcasting and stuff. So yeah, just looking forward to what's coming.
For sure, like you said, I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. Appreciate you as always for joining me and doing these shows. But shout out to Stu and Mo. I think both of us would be on Draft Capital as well. I like to, of course, focus on corners and wide receivers, because those positions I played before.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely be shouting them out. Probably have them on and be on their show as well. NFL Draft Capital. But other than that, like I said, shout out Off the Ball Network for giving us a platform to speak. Shout out everybody on the network. Shout out for everybody that tuned in today. And good luck to these teams. Hopefully these predictions come in right. And we'll see you guys next time to recap on everything. Y'all have a good one.